What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're going to talk some football. I know I'm a couple days late, but I've been busy, been doing some things. But I want to talk about the Houston Texans cutting Brian Cushing. They made it official about 2 days ago. They cut Brian Cushing. They informed them over the weekend that they were going to do it, and they just went ahead and did it, like I said, 2 days ago. And I know I'm a little bit late. I should have been made this video before they actually made it official, or I should at least did it the day they made it official. But like I said, I've been doing some things. But enough of all that. About this Brian Cushing, I'm gonna start off by saying Brian Cushing actually is my favorite player on the defense. I know people give him grief about taking steroids and that type of stuff, and to be honest, I really don't give a damn. To be honest, I really don't get caught. Other than that, I really don't care because it don't matter to me. Only made one Pro Bowl, 2-time All-Pro, Rookie of the Year. It was the same after the injuries. After the first one, I think he started to make a bounce back. He had the first ACL injury in 2012. In 2013, when he came back, opening day had the pick that tied the game against the Chargers, and then we ended up winning the game, with a game-winning field goal. And he played well for the first couple games that season until he got hurt again. And after that second injury, which I'm not mistaken was on the same knee, it just completely took away. And then I think the second injury was actually worse than the first one. It just completely took away the type of player it was. With or without the steroids, it took away the type of player that he could have been. Even though he is the all-time leading tackler, Brian Cushing could have been so much more if it wasn't for the injuries. I like his attitude mostly. I think that's the reason why he's my favorite player on the defense, because his attitude, his aggressive. He was a crazy white boy. Like, he was just crazy, and that's probably the reason why he was my favorite player on the defense. I know JJ gets all the accolades and all the praise, and rightfully so. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. The touchdowns he gets, the sacks, and all that type of stuff. Some people out there say that his sacks don't mean anything, but he's the only player. There's what I think 5 or 6 20-sack seasons. A player has 20 or more sacks, and JJ has 2 of them. That's different. Now, you could say that the NFL is different because it's passing, so more passes mean more opportunities to get sacks. I get that, but he's not the only player that's playing in this new NFL. He's not the only player that's playing. Then he's playing from a technique that doesn't supposed to get sacks. People see defensive end and be like, he's supposed to get sacks, defensive end. Now in a 3-4 defense, you got to understand football. In a 3-4 defense, the outside linebackers get the sacks. We get the majority of the sacks. In a 4-3 defense, like when we play with Mario, when there's 4 defensive linemen, then those defensive ends get the majority of the sacks. Because we're playing the 4-3, JJ will actually play DT instead of playing DE. Like, it's the schemes are differently. So the way the numbers are spread out is supposed to be differently. That's the reason why the numbers that he gets, that's why people who watch football, like people who understand football, like coaches and former defensive players, that's the reason why they react to JJ the way they do, is because he's not supposed to get those numbers in that type of system, playing the position he plays. If he's playing outside linebacker, or if he was playing a defensive end in a 4-3, things are different. But for him to be playing that position in that type of defensive scheme, he shouldn't get those type of numbers. So that's the reason why it's JJ crazy, because the numbers you get, because he's not supposed to get those type of statistics. And Cushing never got those type of those crazy statistics, but it was just something about him that I liked. And I'm glad that Brian Gaines made the decision, because shows me that he's more cutthroat. The combination of him and Bill O'Brien are going to be way more cutthroat than Rick Smith and Kubiak, and even Rick Smith with O'Brien, because I think Bill O'Brien has some of that cutthroatness, but Rick Smith was holding it back some, because that's the reason why I think Swearingen's not here, is because him and Bill O'Brien butt heads, because he wanted him to play special teams, and Swearingen was like, I'm a 2nd round pick, I don't play special teams. I play defense. I'm a defensive starter, I don't play special teams. That's kind of the rip. Everybody knows that after Ryan Mallett missed the game, missed the flight for the Miami game, Bill O'Brien wanted to cut him that day. And Rick Smith was like, whoa, wait, if you cut him that day and something happened to Hoyer, you gonna put Shane Leclerc out there? Like, wait, I know he messed up, but we at least need him to back up this game just in case something happened. But Rick Smith is more, I guess, hold on to players. And I'll be the same way. I'll be a horrible GM. That's why I'm glad I'm not GM, because I'm like Arian Foster when he was saying about Andre on his podcast. Like, if it was up to me, Andre still be on the team right now doing nothing, getting paid if I was a general manager. So I shouldn't be no general manager, because I keep players if I respect the player and like the player, I keep players. I can't make those cold-hearted, cutthroat decisions. I think Brian Gaines can, because if you listen to the way Bill O'Brien talked about Cushing, I think Bill O'Brien would have kept Cushing. But I think Brian Gaines is coming from a different decision making, that we need to do roster moves that's going to help the team. Brian Cushing on the field is not going to help the team. And if we get rid of him, we're going to get $7 million back. Do you know what we can do with that $7.5 million? We can get a good player. We can get 2 solid players. If we do the money right, we could get something with these pieces. So it got me thinking, what other roster moves could they do? Could they cut Kareem? They could, but if they somehow get 2 corners, I would like to keep Kareem, because I would want to move Kareem to safety. Jonathan Joseph is a free agent, so you got to worry about cutting Jonathan Joseph, because that's probably some names that people want to throw out. But J. Joe not going to be here. He a free agent, and I wouldn't resign him. Lamar Miller, number 26, is who I would cut. The only bad thing about cutting Lamar Miller is we don't know what's going to happen with D'Onta Foreman coming off that Achilles. Because if it was just pure, if D'Onta Foreman didn't have an injury, I'm full-fledged cut Lamar Miller, and I'm already kind of sort of there. Because if they cut Lamar Miller, I'm not saying nothing. I'm be a cool bet. I'm not mad. I'm like, cool bet. I'm not out here screaming for it because of the injury to D'Onta Foreman. You need backs. But, like I said with the injury to D'Onta Foreman, because it's Achilles injury, and one, we don't know if he's even going to be back we don't even know if he's going to be back for the season, for the start of the season. And two, even if he is back, we don't know what type of D'Onta Foreman we going to get. We don't know if he's going to be on that same trajectory because he's coming off of Achilles. It'd be different if it was a shoulder injury, a broken foot, a hamstring. I'd much rather you tear your ACL than you tear your Achilles. Like, because all these other things are things that people bounce back from and go on to have productive careers. Adrian Peterson tore his ACL, and then the following year rushed for 2,000 yards. Like, Achilles Achilles ends people's careers, or at least when they come back, they're not the same player. So for him, and then we don't know how long it's going to take for him to come back. I think he should be back because DeVere Posey tore his Achilles in a playoff game in January, and he was back for training camp. D'Onta Foreman, this was in mid-November, so he should be able, but I mean we never know because I don't know the severity of the injury, and DeVere Posey was healthy, but he never played again as a Texan. I think maybe he played one snap or one game when Andre got hurt and we had to go to Indy. He played one game. He had that horrible holding call when Arian Foster scored the touchdown to take the lead against the Colts, which should have been a win in Indianapolis that we didn't get back in 2014. But other than that, DeVere Posey didn't play. So, and actually that was a year later because the injury happened in 2012. So I don't think DeVere Posey played in 2013. I don't think he did. But he might have, but I don't know. I don't think he did. But I know he was ready for camp. He was back. He was ready for camp after the injury. But I know he didn't play. He didn't play, and so that might be a bad example as far as the playing. But I'm just saying of the timetable of coming back. So we don't know if he's gonna come back. But I'm saying all that to say this. That's one reason why I'll be iffy on cutting Lamar Miller. But Lamar Miller just doesn't do it for me when it comes to his contract. He's only last year 800 yards, 880 yards, and people say, "Oh, we might use him wrong," which is true. But I'm thinking that's more because he shouldn't be a feature back. He shouldn't be the guy that you give the ball to 20 to 25 carries a game. He should be a guy who's getting the ball 10 to 15 at the most 15 times a game, and I mean touches, not carries. I mean complete touches. He should be a guy who gets maybe 10 rushing attempts and 5 passes, or maybe vice versa. You try to throw it to him 8 times. try to spread out, maybe throw to him 8, hand the ball off 7, some of those type of some around those lines, because he shouldn't be getting the ball as many times as we give him the ball, only averaging 3.2 yards to carry. And if we cut him, we save we save 4.7. We save 4.7 mil if we cut him. That's a whole player. That's a good quality player. If you combine that with the money that you save from the 7.5 that you save from Cushing, what that's do you see how much money? That's 12. That's 12 right there. So that's 12 mil right there. The 4.5 you save from him, the 4.7 you save from him, the 7.5 that you save from Cushing. That's over 12 million. That's 2 really good players, 3 solid players. If you know how to fluctuate and say, okay, those are 2 to 3 players, or 1 good superstar for 12. That's what you save if you decide to cut Lamar. The only bad thing about that, if you cut Lamar, are you gonna be putting all your eggs in this Deontay Foreman back? So I think if Deontay Foreman was fully healthy, if he never had that injury, it'd be way more clearer that they'll cut Lamar Miller. I put it to you like this: if Deontay Foreman would have never gotten hurt, and he would have, in my opinion, I think they would start giving him the ball more towards the later part of the season, and he would have showed you that he should be the guy who's getting the majority of the carries, and he should be the main guy. I think it would be very easy for them to cut Lamar Miller, especially what we're dealing with in the secondary, because there's chances that Peters is on the trade market. There's talks that Earl Thomas is on the trade market. Denver was talking about trading Aqib Talib. Now they're just talking about full out cutting them. Malcolm Butler. You already know how I feel about Tremaine Johnson. Like, all these different players. Everybody wants to talk about Jimmy Graham with the tight end. Like, all these different players at positions that you need are coming available, or you're able to get them via trade or via just straight free agency. You need all the salary cap money you can get. And if you can save 4.7 by cutting Lamar Miller, who's only averaging 3 yards a carry. I'm not trying to turn this into a bash Lamar Miller segment, but let's be real. What you're paying him, you're not getting back on the field. And don't give me that he's not being used properly, because I do get that. But I think there's more towards the contract than it is the play, because we shouldn't be paying him the money we pay him to use him properly. Now, he looked fine when we had Deshaun Watson out there, because Deshaun Watson gonna make everybody look better anyway, because he's a threat himself. But he's still not deserving of the money that we paying him. I like Cushing, but Cushing's not deserving of the money. So I much rather have that 7.5 that we save from Cushing than actually have Cushing on this team. I much rather have that 4.7 than have Lamar Miller. I much rather have that, because you can find a good quality running back, quote unquote superstar running back, later on in the draft, and that's another thing that hurts, is because we don't draft it to the 3rd round. Even though I just said you can find backs later on, but see, those 3rd round picks, wherever we don't get in free agency via secondary, via offensive lineman, we're gonna have to use those 3rd round picks. But we do have 3 3rd rounds, and then next year we're going to have 2 2s. We could use some of these things to finagle to get a Marcus Peters. And then try to get a Malcolm Butler. Or try to get Tremaine Johnson, whatever the case may be. Or try to get a safety like Lamar Joyner from Rams. He's going to be kind of pricey. Like, to get some of these other people, then maybe we could use... especially if we use that 2nd round pick via next year, that we have 2 2s. We have Seattle 2, and we have on 2. Then maybe use one of these 3rd round picks. Maybe we could pick up a running back. I mean, because you can get quality backs later on in the draft. I mean, Kareem Hunt, leading rusher, was drafted in the 3rd round. Terrell Davis, a Hall of Famer, in the 7th round. Aaron Foster, our best back, undrafted free agent. Like, you get superstars and good quality running backs later on in the draft. You don't have to pick a running back 1st round. So, what I feel about D'Onta Foreman. Because I think D'Onta Foreman was on the trajectory. I'm not saying he was going to be a superstar back, but I'm thinking he was on the trajectory to at least be a good serviceable back. See, this is how I list my backs. You got your superstar backs, guys who year in, year out get 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, those type of guys. Then you have your serviceable backs who live in that 1,000 to 1,200 range. Every now and again, if they have a good season, good amount of carries, a boom of a season, they might touch 14. They might touch 13. But they really live between the 1,000 and the they really live in between the 1,000 and the 1,200 yard range, and maybe get you 8 to 9 touchdowns. Like those are okay backs, serviceable backs, and then serviceable backs, guys who you can make your starter, but they're not superstars. Then you have just your okay backs, which live in between that 6 to 8 range. Again, every now and again they can touch 1,000 and touch 10 touchdowns on a good season, but they really live between 6 to 7, all the way up to 800 yards. That's what they normally live in, and normally get you 5 touchdowns. And that's what I think Lamar Miller is. I think he's in that range, and I think D'Onta Foreman is more of he can live into the 1,000 to 1,200 yard range. I don't think he's a superstar, but I think he can live into the 1,000 to 1,200 yard range, get you 8, 9 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns. Maybe a good year he can get you 1,500 yards. He doesn't live into that 14 to 1,500 yard range like Foster. Foster lived in that 14 to 1,500 yard range. D'Onta Foreman, I think, will live into, if he is fully healthy from the Achilles, live into that 1,000 yard to 1,200 yard range. And I think Lamar Miller is just a guy who his career average is 800 yards. That's what he gets you, 800 yards. And that's what he got you last year, 888 yards with 3 touchdowns. Because he's not a touchdown maker either. Last year, he had 1,000 yards, barely had 1,000 yards, and only had 5 touchdowns. So, and you're paying them all that money when you can save $4 million. Like I said, I'm not trying to turn this to the Bass Lamar segment. I'm just saying more roster moves should be happening. I don't think they'll cut, but just keep your eye on it, because we got to strip the secondary and his offensive line. So we need all the money we can get. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't, comment below if you haven't. Click that bell to get more videos. I holla.